Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. I got co-host 1 and a co-host 2. He's off screen. They were being really bad. I'm going to be picking up Canto 9 of the Inferno by Dante. Alighieri. Before I do, I hit really hard times. I'm going to say it until I get what I need from the universe. Like a job. So if you have a job out there that you think I could do, please help. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It's free. I put up a lot of stuff almost daily. And you get to see old lady, 17-year-old kitty cat. You get to see Morgan face. You get to see Ethan face. And you'd be helping me and them out, because I need to take care of my babies. So please, a love donation is also appreciated if you have it within your heart to do so. This is for everybody to understand what is going on in our paradigm right now in the world. Okay, co-host 1 is moving. So I have space now. Woo! Canto 9. It's really hard to see, but it comes with pictures. I wish I could paint like that. Can't do it. That hue which cowardice brought out on me. Behold my conductor backward turn. Sooner repressed within him his new color. He stopped, attentive, like a man who listens, because the eye could not conduct him far. Through the black air and through the heavy fog. Still it behooved us to win the fight. Began he, else such offered us here herself. Oh, how I long that someone here arrive. Well, I perceived, as soon as the beginning, he covered up with what came afterward, that they were words quite different from the first, but none the less his saying gave me fear, because I carried out the broken phase, perhaps to a worse meaning than he had, into the bottom of the doleful conch. Doth any ever descend from the first grade, which for its pain has only hope cut off? This question put I, and he answered me. Seldom it comes to pass that one of us maketh the journey upon which I go. True is it, once before I here below was conjured by the pitiless Erectho, who summoned back the shades unto their bodies. Naked of me, short while the flesh has been. Before within that wall she made me enter, to bring a spirit from the circle of Judas, that is the lowest region and the darkest, and farthest from the heaven which circles all. Well know I the way, therefore be reassured. This fin, which a prodigious stretch exhales, encompass about the city dolent, where now we cannot enter without anger. And more he said, but not in mind have I it. Because my eye had altogether drawn me towards the higher tower with the red flaming summit, where in a moment saw I swift uprising, the 3 infernal furies strained with blood, who had the limbs of women in their mind, and with the greenest hydras were begirt. Small serpents and serasks were their tresses, wherewith their horrid temples were entwined. And he who well the handmaids of the queen of everlasting lamentation knew, said unto me, Behold thy fiery Uranes. This is Margera on the left-hand side. She who is weeping on the right, Alecto. Tisiphone is between, and then was silent. Each one her breast was rendering with her nails. They beat them with their palms and cry out loud, that I for dead press close unto the poet. Medusa, come, so we to stone will change him. All shouted, looking down in evil hour. Avenged we not on Theseus his assault. Turn thyself around and keep thine eyes close shut. For if the Gorgon appear, and thou shouldest see it, no more returning upward would there be. Thus said the master, and he turned me round, himself entrusted not unto my hands, so far as not to blind me with his own. O ye who have distempered intellects, observe the doctrine that conceals itself beneath the veil of the mysterious verses. And now there came across the turbid waves the clangor of a sound with terror fraught, because of which both of the margins trembled. Not otherwise it was then of a wind, imperious on account of adverse hearts, that smites the forest and without restraint. The branches rends, beats down, and bears away. Right onward, laden with dust, it goes superb, and puts to fight the wild beasts and the shepherds. My eyes had lost, and said, direct the nerve, a vision now along the ancient foam. Sorry guys, my teeth. There yonder where that smoke is most intense, even as the frogs before the hostile serpent, across the water scattered all aboard, until each one is hurled into the earth. More than 1,000 ruined souls I saw, thus fleeing from before one who on foot was passing over the Styx with souls unwet. From off his face he fanned that uncontemptuous air, waving his left hand oft in front of him. And only with the anguish seemed he weary, while I perceived one sent from heaven was he, and to the master turned, and he made sign that I should quiet stand and bow before him. Ah, how disdainful he appeared to me. He reached the gate, and with a little rod he opened it, for there was no resistance. Oh, banished out of heaven, people despised. Thus he began upon the horrid threshold. Whence is this arrogance within your couched? Wherefore recalcitrate against the will? Recalcitrate against the will, from which the end can never be cut off, and which has many times increased your pain. What helpeth it to butt against the fates? Your Cerberus, if you're remember well, for that still bears his chin and gullet peeled. Then he returned along the merry road, and spake no word to us, but had the look of one whom other cared constrains and goads, than that of him who in his presence is. And we our feet directed towards the city, after those holy words, all confident. Within we entered without any contest, and I, who inclination had to see what the condition such a fortress holds. Soon as I was within, cast around my eye, and see on every hand an ample plain, full of distress and torment terrible, even as Arlis, where stagnant grows the road, even as Apollo never near to the Quinaro, thus shuts in Italy and bathes its borders. The sepulchres made all the place uneven. So likewise did they there on every side, saving that there the manner was more bitter. For flames between the sepulchres were scattered, by which they so intensely heated were, that iron more so as not any art. All of their coverings uplifted were, and from them issued forth such dire laments. Sooth seemed they of the wretched and tormented. And I, my master, what are all those people who, having sepulture within those tombs, make themselves audible by doleful sighs? And he to me, here are the hierarchs with their disciples of all sects and much. More than thou thinkest laden are the tombs. Here like together with it, like it is buried. And more and less the monuments are heated. And when he to the right had turned, we passed between the torment and high parapets. Sorry for the mispronunciation, guys. My teeth are going to come loose. Canto 10. Now onward goes, along a narrow path, between the torments and the city wall. My master and I follow at his back. O power supreme, that through these impious circles turnest me, I began, as pleases thee. Speak to me, and my longing satisfy. The people who are lying in these tombs, might they be seen? Already are uplifted the covers all, and no one keepeth guard. And he to me, they all will be closed up, when from Jehoshaphat they shall return, here with the bodies they have left above, their cemetery have upon this end. With Epicurus all his followers, who with the body mortal make the soul. But in the question thou dost put to me, within here shalt thou soon be satisfied, and likewise in the wish thou keepest silent. And I, good leader, I but keep concealed from my heart, that I may speak the less. Nor only now hast thou thereto disposed me, O Tuscan, thou who through the city of fire goest alive, thus speaking modestly, be pleased to say thy footsteps in this place. Thy mode of speaking makes thee manifest, a native of the noble fatherland. To which perhaps I too molestful was, upon a sudden issue forth this sound, from out one of the tombs wherefore I passed, fearing a little nearer to my leader. And unto me he said, turn thee, what dost thou? Behold, there Bratina, who has risen. From the waist upwards wholly shalt thou see him. I had already fixed my eyes on his, and he uprose erect with breast and front, even as if hell he had in great despite. And with courageous hands and prompt, my leader thrust me between the sepulchres towards him, exclaiming, let thy words explicit be. As soon as I was at the foot of his tomb, somewhat he eyed me, and as if disdainful, then asked of me, who were thine ancestors? I, who desirous of obeying was, concealed it not, but all revealed to him, whereat he raised his brows a little upward. Then said he, fiercely advised have they been to me and to my father and my party, so that two several times I scattered them. If they were banished, they return on all sides. I answered him the first time and the second, but yours have not acquired that art all right. Then there uprose upon the sight uncovered, down to the shin, a shadow at his side. I think that he had risen on his knees. Round me he gazed, as if solitude. He had to see if someone else were with me. But after his suspicion was all spent, weeping he said to me, if through this blind prison thou goest by loftiness of genius, where is my son, and why is he not with thee? And I to him, I come not of myself. He who is waiting yonder leads me here. Who in disdain perhaps your Guido had, his language and the mode of punishment already unto me had read his name. On that account my answer was so full. Upstarting suddenly he cried out, how saidst thou he had? Is he not still alive? Does not the sweet light strike upon his eyes? When he became aware of some delay, which I before my answer made supine, he fell again and forth appeared no more. But the other, magnanimous, at whose desire I had remained, did not his aspect change. Neither his neck he moved, nor bent his side. And if continuing his first discourse, they have that art, he said, not learned all right, that more tormenteth me than thou this bed, but 50 times shall not rekindle be the countenance of the lady who reigns here. Thou shalt know how heavy is that art, and as thou wouldest to the sweet world return, say why that people is so pitiless against my race in each one of its laws. Whence I to him, the slaughter and great carnage, which have with crimson stain the Arabia, caused such erosions in our temple to be made. After his head he with a sight had shaken. There I was not alone, he said, nor surely without a cause had with the others moved. But there I was alone, where everyone consented to the laying waste of Florence. He who defeated her with open face, so hereafter may your steed repose. I him entreated, solved for me that knot, which has entangled my conceptions here. It seems that you can see, if I hear rightly, beforehand whatsoever brings with it, and in the present had another mode. We see like those who have imperfect sight, the things he said, that distance are from us. So much still shines on us, the sovereign ruler. When they draw near, or are, is wholly vain. Our intellect, and if none brings it to us, not anything know we of your human state. Hence thou canst understand that wholly dead will be our knowledge from the moment when the portal of the future shall be closed. Then I, as if computerous for my fault, said, now then you will tell that fallen one that still his son is with the living joined, And if just now in answering I was dumb, tell him I did it because I was thinking already of the error you have solved me. And now my master was recalling me. Wherefore more eagerly I prayed the Spirit that he would tell me who was with him there. He said, with more than 1,000 here I lie. Within here is the second Frederick and the Cardinal, and of the rest I speak not. Thereon he hid himself, and I towards the ancient poet turned my steps, reflecting upon that saying which seemed hostile to me. He moved along, and afterward, thus going, he said to me, why art thou so bewildered? And I, in his inquiry, satisfied him. Let memory preserve what thou hast heard. Against thyself that sage commanded me. And now attend here. And he raised his finger. When thou shalt be before the radiant suite of her whose beauteous eyes are things behold, from her thou know the journey of thy life. Unto the left hand, then he turned his feet. We left the wall and went towards the middle, along a path that strikes into a valley, which even up there unpleasant made its stench. Pretty interesting, guys. I don't want to be in those tombs. I don't think he would either. Canto 11. Upon the margin of a lofty bank, which great rocks broken in a circle made, we came upon a still more cruel throng, and there by reason of the horrible excess of stench the deep abyss throws out, we drew ourselves aside behind the cover of a great tomb, whereupon I saw a writing which says, Pope Anastasius, I hold, whom out of the right way Botonius drew. Slow it behooved our descent to be, so that the sense be first a little used. To the sad blast, and then we shall not heed it. The master thus, and unto him I said, some compensation find, that the time pass not idly, and he, thou seest, I think of that. My son, upon the inside of these rocks, began he then to say, are 3 small circles, from grade to grade, like those which thou art leaving. They are all full of spirit maledect, but that hereafter sight alone suffice thee. Hear how and wherefore they are in constraint of every malice that wins hate in heaven. Injury is the end, and all such end, either by force or fraud, afflicteth others. But because fraud is man's peculiar vice, more is displeaseth God, and so stand lowest. The fraudulent and greater dole assails them. All the first circle of the violent is. But since force may be used against 3 persons in 3 rounds, 'tis divided and constructed. To God, to ourselves, and to our neighbor, can we use force? I say unto them and on their things, as thou shalt hear with reason manifest, a death by violence and painful wounds are to our neighbors given, and in his substance, ruin and arson and injurious levities, whence homicides and he who smites unjustly, marauders and freebooters. The first round tormenteth all in diverse companies. Man may lay violent hands upon himself and his own goods, and therefore in the second round must perforce without avail repent, whoever of your world deprives himself, whose games and dissipates his property, and weepeth there where he should jocund, be violence can be done, the deity, in heart denying and blaspheming him, and by disdaining nature and her bounty, And for this reason doth the smallest round seal with its signet Sodom and cohorts. And who disdaining God speaks from the heart, fraud, wherewithal is every conscience strong. A man may practice upon him who trusts, and him who doth not confuse and bruise. This later mode, it would appear, dissevers only the bond of love which nature makes. Wherefore within the second circle nestle hypocrisy, flattery, and whose deals in magic, falsification, theft, and simony, panders and barrators, and like filth. By the other mode forgotten is that love, which nature makes, and what is after added, from which there is a special faith engendered. Hence in the small circle, where the point is of the universe, upon which this is seated, whoever betrays forever is consumed. And I, my master, clear enough proceeds. Thy reasoning in full well distinguishes this cavern and the people who possess it. But tell me, those within the fat lagoon, whom the wind drives, and whom the rain doth beat, and who encountered such bitter tongues, wherefore are thou inside of the Red City, not punished if God has them in his wrath? And if he has not, wherefore in such fashion? And unto me he said, why wander so thine intellect from that which it is wont? Or sooth thy mind where it elsewhere looking? Hast no recollection of those words, with which thine ethics thoroughly discuss? The dispositions three, that heaven abides not, incontinence and malice and insane, bestiality, and how incontinence, lest God offendeth, and lest blame attracts. If thou regardest this conclusion well, and to thy mind recallest who they are, that up outside are undergoing penance, clearly wilt thou perceive why from these felons they separated are, and why less wroth. Justice divine doth smite them with its hammer. O Son, thou healest all distempered vision. Thou dost content me when thou resolvest that doubting pleases me no less than knowing. Once more a little backward turn thee, and I, there where thou sayest that usury offends, goodness divine and disengage the knot. Philosophy, he said, to him who heeds it, noteth not only in one place alone, after what manner nature takes her course, from intellect divine and from its art. And if thy physics carefully thou notest, after not many pages shalt thou find that this your art, as far as possible, follows as a discipline doth the master, so that your art is, as it were, God's grandchildren. From these two, if thou bringest to thy mind Genesis at the beginning, it behooves mankind to gain their life and to advance. And since the usurper takes another away, nature herself and in her follower, disdains he, for elsewhere he puts his hope. But follow now, as I would fain go on, for quivering are the fishes on the horizon, and the wane hopefully over Corus lies, and far beyond there we descend the crag. Canto 12. The place where to descend the bank we came was alpine, and from what was there, moreover, of such a kind that every eye would shun it, such as the ruin is which in the flank smote on this side of the Trent, the Adige, either by earthquake or by failing stay. For from the mountain's top, from which it moved, unto the plain the cliff is shattered so, no path 'twould give to him who was above. Even such was the descent of that ravine, and on the border of the broken chasm, the infamy of Crete was stretched along, who was conceived in the fictitious cow, and when he was beheld, he bit himself, even as one whom anger racks within. My sage towards him shouted, Pre-adventurer, thou thinkest that here may be the Duke of Athens, who in the world above brought death to thee. Get thee gone, beast, for this one cometh not. Instruct by thy sister, but he comes in order to behold your punishments, as is the bull who breaks loose at the moment in which he has received the mortal blow, who cannot walk but staggers here and there. The Minotaur, behold, I do the like. And he, the worry cry, run to the passage, while he is wroth. 'Tis well thou shouldest descend. Thus down we took our way over that discharge of stones, which oftentimes did move themselves beneath my feet from the unwonted burden. Thoughtful I went, and he said, Thou art thinking perhaps upon this ruin, which is guarded by that brute anger, which now I quenched. Now will I have thee know the other time, I here descended to the neither hell. This precipice had not yet fallen down, but truly, if I were discern a little before his coming, who the mighty spoil bore off from 'tis in this supernal circle. Upon all sides the deep and lonesome valley trembled so that I thought the universe was thrilled with love, by which there are who think the world oftentimes converted into chaos, and at the moment this primeval crag doth here and elsewhere made such overthrow. But fix thine eyes below, for draweth near the river of blood, within which boiling is whoever by violence doth injure others. O blind cupidity, O wrath insane, that spurs us onward, so in our short life, and in the eternal, then so badly steeps us. I saw an ample moat bent like a bow, as one which all the plain encompasseth, conformable to what my guide had said, and between this and the embankments of foot, centaurs in file were running, armed with arrows, as in the world they used the chase to follow. Beholding us descended, each one stood still, and from the squadron 3 detached themselves, with bows and arrows in advance selected. And from afar one cried, Unto what torment come ye who down the hillside are descending? Tell us from there, if not, I draw the bow. My master said, our answer will make to Chiron, there nearby in evil hour. That will of thine was evermore so hasty. Then touched he me and said, This one is Nisus, who perished for the lovely Deianira, and for himself did vengeance take. And he in the mist, who at his breast is gazing, in the great Chiron, who brought up Achilles, that other Pholos is, who was so wrathful. Thousands and thousands go about the most, shooting with shafts wherever soul emerges, out of the blood, more than his crime allows. Near we approached unto these monsters fleet. Chiron an arrow took, and with the notch backward upon his jaw, he put his beard, after he had uncovered his great mouth. He said to his companions, Are you aware that he behind moveth whatever he touches? thus are not wont to do the feet of dead man? And my good guide, who now was at his breast, where the two natures are together joined, replied, indeed he lives, and thus alone. Me it behooves to show him the dark valley. Necessity and not delight impels us. Someone withdrew from singing hallelujah, who until me committed this new office. No thief is he, nor I a thievish spirit, but by the virtue through which I am moving my steps along this savage thoroughfare, give us one of thine to be with us. And who may show us where to pass the ford, and who may carry this man on his back? For 'tis no spirit that can walk the air. Upon his right breast Chiron wheeled about, and said to Nisus, turn and do thou guide them, and warn aside, if other band should meet you, we with our faithful escort onward move, along the brink of the vermilion boiling, wherein the boiled were uttering loud laments. People I saw within up to the eyebrows, and the great senator said, tyrants are these, who dwell in the bloodshed and in pillaging. Here they lament their pitiless mischiefs. Here is Alexander and furious Dionysus, who upon Sicily brought dolorous years. That forehead there, which has the hair so black, is Azulin, and other who is blonde, Abizio, is of Este, who in truth up in the world was by his stepson slain. Then turned I to the poet, and he said, now he be first to thee, and second I. A little further on the senator stopped, above a folk who far down as the throat seemed from the boiling streams to issue forth. A shade he showed us on one side alone, saying he cleft asunder in God's bosom. The heart that's still upon the thighs is honored. The people saw I, who from out of the river lifted their heads, and also all the chest. And many among these I recognized. Thus ever more and more grew shallower that blood, so that the feet alone is covered. And there across the moat our passage was, even as thou here upon the side beholdest, the boiling stream, the eye diminishes. The senator said, I wish thee to believe that on this other more and more declines it beds, until it reunites itself. Where it behooved tyranny to groan, justice divine upon this side is goading. That Attila, who was a scourge on earth, and Pyrrhus and Sextus, and forever milks the tears, which with the boiling is unseals. In Rainier de Corneto and Rainier Pizazzo, who made upon the highway so much war. Then back he turned and passed again the ford. So I believe that there, my friends, sorry for the mispronunciations of words. I am dyslexic. Yay. Not really. It's very, very frustrating, by the way. And the lack of teeth and my teeth being loose doesn't help. But I hope you enjoyed the Inferno, as we are also going on a journey of our own through the abyss. And each layer of truth is getting unraveled, and each unraveling is showing us different players in different countries in different situations, and it's all unweaving itself in our current reality. So each level, more truths are to be beheld. Each one of us goes through our own personal road down this spiral of endless researching and thinking. But at the end of the day, we'll find out what happens when we get to the end. Sending each and every one of you love and light. Make sure you don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my channel. I got some goodies that I read a lot of, and there's more books to add on to that. I'm just trying to get things in order. So enjoy. Have a wonderful night, day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.